Hello, everybody, and welcome to day one of Extraordinary by Design. And this is the new quest that I'm doing through Mind Valley by Vishen Lakhiani. So today we did the warm-ups, and he brought up a really good quote, which happens to be my favorite, by Steve Jobs, that says, "This whole reality is made up by people no smarter than you. And once you realize that, everything changes." Hi, Erica. Hi, Joey. And there is no truer quote than that. We are most often held up by the fact that we feel like there's always something that we need to learn before we can launch ourselves into what we want to do in our lives. And very often, what we want to do in our lives is something that we've been prepared for since birth. I have gone through the trials that I have in my life to prepare me to hold space for people who are going through those trials now. And part of this awakening process has been learning how to break free of those things that are thrust upon us by our families and society, and figuring out how we want to integrate those into our lives now. So he has this really fun little made-up word that he uses a lot in his book, which is called the Code of the Extraordinary Mind. So the class that I'm doing right now is a branch off of that book. It's the companion workbook to the actual book. And I actually have 2 copies of that. So those of you who are going to be attending the Women's Circle group on the 26th of May, I will have a copy of that to loan out, so we can kind of hand it around if anybody else wants to also read that. Or it's really easy to just pick it up off of Amazon or Kindle, or I'm not sure if they have it on. I think they have it on the Kindle to download, but I'm not sure. I bought hard copies of the book, so I'm not sure about that. So today was about understanding our, what he calls, culturescape. And his version, or his definition of culturescape, is the rules that society might impose on you to direct your goals down a way that is maybe not necessarily the way that you want to go originally. And how we as awakening humans are realizing that we can make that choice for ourselves, and we are capable of changing that. And it doesn't really matter how old we are. We are always capable of changing direction to go further along the path that we were actually meant to go on. There's also been a lot of focus from society and our families, and just generational rules, really, about focusing on means goals, which are little goals that may get us where we want to go eventually, but maybe not necessarily as fast as we could go. So this is about focusing more on our end goals. So I want to lead a fulfilling, happy existence quietly with my family while offering assistance to other people also going through this awakening process as well. Ultimately, one of my end goals. Do I know how that's going to completely happen? No, but am I on the road to that? Absolutely. So that's really what I'm trying to more focus on now, rather than focusing on the goals that are just a means to an end, rather than focusing on the environment I want to provide for myself. And focusing on that part instead of how I'm going to do that. Ultimately, the how we're going to do it is really the part that's what would you say, the wild card in the deck. We don't really ever know how that's really going to happen. There was 3 main questions that we were focusing on today, and then it just went through the main 12 areas of our life, and how we split it up into different sections to make it more manageable as far as encompassing everything as a whole. Because I don't think there's enough focus on creating all of the things in our life in a cohesive manner together, rather than focusing on each piece individually. And a lot of the principles in this book come from the author of the Life book, which, what was his name? Hang on a second. By John Butcher. John Butcher also just did a masterclass, which I kind of just missed it, but about his Life book, which is basically, it's just another form of vision boarding, but in a more textual manner instead, more of a journal rather than vision board. So instead of pictures, you would use a lot more words. And for those of us who have a hard time visualizing, me included, it seemed more a way for me to help organize better the expansions that I want to do as far as my business and my personal life, and furthering the things that Seth and I want to do as far as our mission as a couple. And it's been kind of hard for me to pinpoint all of those things all in one place when it's all so scattered. So this seems like a good way to start. So give me just a second. So as far as his rules go, we kind of focus more on always having upward growth in our life. You know, it's always this steady upcline, you know, and then eventually, you know, at the end of our lives, it drops off. Well, it doesn't necessarily have to be that way. And he focuses more on something that looks kind of like this. So we go up and then it goes down and up and down and up. You know, like life does. It's a roller coaster. We all know that, right? So part of the figuring out what the bullshit rules were as far as how I feel, and the blockages that I'm trying to overcome as far as this goes, and trying to remember that everything's always growing and things happen, to test our resolve on where we want to go and whether or not we really want it bad enough. And the rules I've tried to break in my life are that we can only be successful if we have a college degree. Well, I don't necessarily think that's the case. I think a lot of people, hi Kim, a lot of people can be successful without having any sort of a college degree at all. The second one was that being a good wife and a mother means I have to sacrifice my dreams to support theirs. Also not necessarily the case. And by sacrificing the things that I want in life, I'm kind of putting them at a disadvantage because I'm not fully taking care of myself. So that was my second one. My third one was that I feel like I always have to be the strong one and I can't need help. And realizing that no man is an island and we all need help in one way or another has been a hard one for me to keep in mind. And I'll probably have to continue to work on that one for the rest of forever. I mean, we all have our things. I'm hoping at some point that it will be a little bit easier. The fourth one I have was that life can't be simple and amazing. There's a misconception, I think, that I feel that in order to have an amazing life, we have to constantly be working for it. And we can't just be sitting back smelling the roses, because that's not how successful people are made, right? Wrong. Again, another bullshit rule. Because my last one was that work has to be hard. And realizing that we can turn the things that we love into work or a job has been a little bit of an adjustment for me. Dealing with my abandonment issues too as well, while still co-creating that issue in my life as more and more people are stepping out of it. And I was focusing on that instead of focusing on all the fantastic people who have been coming into my life. So thank you, all of you who have been here for me in the last 3 years. I love all of you. And without you, I wouldn't be able to sit here and ramble on in front of this camera and not feel like I'm making a complete ass of myself. And maybe I am, but who cares, right? So we had 2 questions today. It is totally. Kim says, don't sweat the petty things. Or is it don't pet the sweaty things? I think it's wherever we want to do it at the moment. Sometimes we do one to combat the other, which is kind of the way I usually try to work it out. Super manifestation right there too. Work on it. Anyways, sidetrack. So we had 2 questions, or I really kind of have 2 questions for you guys. And the first one is, what would it mean to you to be able to question everything in your life and change all of the things that you think are bullshit? A lot, right? That is going to be what your journaling comment is going to be for this video underneath here. Remember, all the comments get you entries. So if you follow along on all of the videos, you get more entries to get a free intuitive counseling session with me. So those of you who have wanted to have a session but don't really have the capabilities to do so financially, this is how we do it. This is going to be a 15-day process because today I went ahead and did the warm-ups and day one, and I just couldn't stop myself. So make sure you comment on those. What would it mean to you to be able to question everything? And if you could, what 3 things would you change? Keep it as simple as possible so we don't use up a lot of commenting space. Or if you don't feel comfortable enough to post it onto the video, you can also private message me and I'll make a note of your entry as well too. Let's see. What else did I make sure? Oh, I wanted to make sure you guys, this is the book, okay? So if you have not read this book, I highly recommend you get it, okay? So his name is Vishen, and he's amazing, okay? So tomorrow we go into more of the goal setting as far as means goals and end goals. And I'm going to be letting you guys know some of our hopeful plans. And we can keep all of this going as a tribe. So as always, thank you for watching, and I love all of you, and don't forget to comment. And I will also be posting these all up on YouTube too. So if you, the Code of the Extraordinary Mind. And I posted a link to on my personal page for the book, where you can actually just link it up and purchase the book through the link. It's probably like 3 or 4 posts down now when you click on my page, but I'll try to, you're welcome. I'll try to post it too on the Life as a Magic Mom page too as well. So I am starting to lose connectivity, but I love all of you, and stay tuned tomorrow for day 2. And as always, be a blessing and not a blight, okay? The earth has enough of those. And remember, I love you.